New wheel set to review, and they're called Aim 1 by a company called Moving. I've never heard of them before. Have you? Probably not. There's a lot of new Chinese companies coming up in the bike industry world in China and coming up with their new products, trying their hand, I guess, see how good they can get with their products, see if they can get their niche in the market. So anyway, I would say this is one of them. Let's have a closer look. No fancy designs, colours or logos on the box except Aim 1. Two soft foam bags, very average packaging. So very basic packaging, but the wheels certainly survived okay all the way to Australia here. So the bag's open with a bit of sticky tape on top, just holding it. Okay, more packaging. Oh, that's good. A little bit more. Piece of foam on one side. Axle stopper, another piece of foam, and there we go. Aim 1, and I'm guessing it'll be the same with the other wheel. What's that, a front wheel? So this is the rear. Yep, exactly the same. Axle stopper, foam and foam. They look quite nice. It's a matte finish on the rim. The decals are stickers stuck on, so if you really want to, you can peel them off. But I think Aim 1's a good name. Aim 1? Aim 1. And this reminds me, the yellow on the other side, is it Mavic? Mavic used to do that, put the yellow sticker on the valve hole. These wheels come with the rim tape already on there, a tubeless ready rim tape, and a tubeless valve insert there. No spare spokes. These wheels didn't come with any spare spokes, nothing else in the box. The rim width, inner rim width is 21, and the outer rim 29.6. And at the tyre intersection, so we've got what, 28. And the depth, these are 65s. They also come in 50s and 40. With 65mm deep rims, front wheel weighs exactly 700 grams, and the rear wheel 820 grams. So 1520 grams for both wheels, including the tubeless valves and the rim tapes. So I'd say their website, claiming 1415 grams plus or minus 30, is not including the valves and rim tapes. Rim shape is rounded up here, so they're all going like that now, so it's got the modern shape to it. And both the front and the rear rims are identical, so same size and same shape. And the rims are hooked, average size hook, so you can use tubed or tubeless. And on the inside of the rim bed, there's holes for each individual spoke. So obviously access to the spoke nipple this way, or it looks like 14 gauge from the outside. We'll have a look in a minute. The spokes are Pilar brand, very well known, been around for a long time, good quality. The size of the spokes are in width and they're quite small. So we've got 1.7 millimeters wide by thickness 0.97, so 1 millimeter. So they're a very small blade spoke. They're also steel, so not carbon fiber here, we're talking back to steel again. The spokes are crossed on both sides on both wheels, so that's interesting, just like the old days. Very good, makes a nice strong wheel. And there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 12 on the cassette side, and on the disc side 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 by 12, 24 spoke, and the same with the front wheel, 24, 24. The spoke nipples are brass and they are 14 gauge and they're exposed. So it looks like we are going back to the good old days. We know that method works really well, it's reliable, and you've got access to the nipples very easily with your spoke key. An ordinary spoke key, nothing weird. So that'll be good for servicing. The other thing is because you've got the exposed 14 gauge nipple and it's a steel spoke, if you break a spoke, if ever, or it needs replacing for some reason, you can just go to any bike shop or get them online anywhere and just buy a steel spoke and you'll be right. In fact, these Pilars, I know you can get the Pilars pretty much anywhere anyway, so there's no weirdness going on with these wheels. These valves are tubeless ready valves already installed. And if we take them out, actually that cap is quite nice because it's got a little remover there. So if you want to, you can remove the valve from the stem. And the rubber O-ring. There you go. So it's a tubeless valve. So you can either go tubeless or you can use TPU tubes with these wheels. The hubs are dark grey, matte finish. So it matches the rim. Matte and matte. Always smooth bearings. These are steel bearings, not ceramic or anything exotic, just ordinary steel, good quality bearing. Just by the sound, you know that's a DT style clutch. Very smooth, very nice. Front wheel, smooth as. Another thing is you put your valve there and let it drop, and you know the bearings are, and seals. Usually it's the seals that hold the bearings back, especially when they're new. The bearings will be fine, it's the seals that quite often grip and stop this, but this is very free. It's fine. Nice. Free hub body is aluminium, and there's no free hub saver on there. It also has holes drilled on each spline, trying to save a couple of grams. To disassemble this hub is a bit different than most of the wheels we've seen. You can't pull the end cap off this side, and you can't pull the end cap off of this side. The reason is there's a locking collar just in front of the bearing there. As you can see, there's a thread on the axle, and the locking collar screws down on the thread and snugs onto the bearing. This is called a preload adjustment for the bearings. This adjustment will give you the minimum friction coming from your bearings. Where the disc rotor slides onto the splines of the hub, there's a small hole. This allows entry for a 2mm Allen key, and you can adjust the Allen head on the cone. Now, because we want to pull the axle out and the free hub off, we have to loosen this preload collar, undo it, and take it all the way off the axle. And that's what it looks like. And now you can pull the axle and the free hub off, free from the hub shell itself. For the internals, the normal standard DT clutch rings. Looks like these wheels only come with 36 tooth engagements, an aluminium spacer collar, and a conical clutch spring. And now the axle slides out of the free hub. Again, steel bearings, and these free hubs are available in Shimano or SRAM. No Campanello options available. So these DT style clutch rings, easy to find on the market if you ever need to replace them, and if you want to increase the number of teeth on there, the engagements per revolution, you can do that as well. Just note, not all the DT style clutch rings look the same, so as you can see, one has two solid edges and the other has an open edge. Make sure you order the right style and you'll be fine. And reassembly is easy peasy, just as it is always with the DT style clutch systems. And of course on the disc side, put that adjustable collar back on, and so now you're ready to fine tune it with that 2mm Allen key. Now you're probably wondering why have an adjustable collar when most wheels don't have it. The reason is so that you can have a little bit more fine tuning when you put it in your frame. I'll explain. So here's your through axle, put the through axle in and just say it's in your frame. So that's your frame, my fingers are the frame, and then you tighten that through axle up. And so what it's effectively doing is pushing inwards on the dropouts of your frame, pushing in on the axle ends there and pressing in on the bearings. And if you do it up fairly tight, well, what have we got? 14 Newton meters, I think is average, 12 to 14. Then you've got 12, 14 Newton meters pressure on those bearings. Now, if that's too much and your wheel doesn't spin all that freely, then you can back off that collar and make it so that your wheel spins even freer, but not so much that, of course, you've got that slack in the rim. So the rear and the front wheel both have the adjustable collars. Let's have a look at the wheel true.
Oh,
and here we go, the wheel true. We'll get really interrupted by someone who wants their bike fixed. Just kidding, come in.
Hello. Are you in the middle of something?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Oh.
He's got the new Propel. No, that's the old Merida.
The old Merida.
Ah, the Propel's coming.
I've got a new Propel coming in now. That's the seat from the new Propel.
Oh, is it? You've changed the seat over. I'll come back to you in about 2 hours. Alright, start again, and it was 2 hours as well. The true of the wheel. So rear wheel first, and we just look at the extremes of the needle on the dial, and from here you can see it's going from 69 to 97. That's a difference of 28, so a total deviation of 0.28 millimeters. Very, very good. I just speed it up so we can save some time. Radial deviation between 75 to 93, so 0.18 millimeters deviation. Front wheel lateral deviation 87 to 8 plus 8, so that's 0.21 millimeters. And radial deviation between 92 and 13 plus 13, so that's 0.21 millimeters. Very good. The dishing, 0 on there, and then 0. Make sure of this. Yep, absolutely perfect dishing there, 0 both sides. Rear wheel, so set that to 0 and we go the side. 0.1 millimeter, wow, almost perfect for both wheels. Very, very good. Spoke twist, which of course you can only do on blade spokes. Incidentally, on round spokes, it doesn't really matter. You can't get the tool on for a start to measure if the spoke's twisted or not. And it also doesn't matter with round spokes, does it? Flat blade spokes, you want them to face so that it's slicing through the wind. So doing 2 rounds of checks, closest to the rim and closest to the hub. Only found 1 spoke slightly out on the disc side, hardly worth worrying about, but here it is anyway. Then over to the front wheel, disc side, there was 1 there, disc side, 1 there, closest to the rim, disc side again, closest to the rim, non-disc side, closest to the rim though, and another one, non-disc side, closest to the rim. All very slightly out, that's all. So spoke twist, down at the rim, there's only a few out on each wheel, which is pretty acceptable, and it's only out a little bit. Then down near the hub, none of them were out, they're all perfect. So they've done a really good job at the hub and just missed just a few up near the rim. So really we're looking for perfection, but we're not getting it, but we're not far off the mark, very good. Spoke tension, easy way to tell is just get a plastic tie lever and tap your spokes and hear the difference in pitch. I always use my trusty Michelin. This is an old one. I've had this for like 45 years, believe it or not. Let's start at the valve. Here's the valve. Whoop. It's a fair few out that side. That side's okay. So this is a front wheel and we're on the disc side. Just go again and show you the difference. See, they're low compared to low, very low, high. So okay on one side and quite a bit out on the disc rotor side front wheel. Bit low, higher. Yeah, that's not perfect. Well, you can tell they're low, aren't they? So we're on the disc side of the rear wheel. Very low. Be interesting to see what our digital tension meter shows. Making sure to measure at the same position on each spoke and plug the numbers into a spoke tension app and we get a nice graphic illustration. For the rear wheel, 20% variation and there are already 4 spokes out, not the best. And for the front wheel, not good at all. More than half the spokes are more than 20% out. Thought this might be the case with such a variation on the tap test. So I'll come back to this in the concluding comments. Now using our trusty little endoscope, let's have a quick look inside these rims. First of all the front wheel, and we'll have a look in some random spoke holes. And there's a spoke nipple, and that confirms that they're ordinary everyday 14 gauge nipples. Having a look at the carbon work, the walls and the bed, looks like there's no wrinkles. Oh, there's one little one, if it's a wrinkle at all. Wow, that's pretty good. Let's have a look at another hole here. Same thing, very, very good. Usually this indicates they've used a high pressure bladder. They usually leave less wrinkles. So very clean carbon work by the look of it. The spoke ends just poking out about 2 threads proud of the end of the spoke nipple on each one evenly. That's very good. Not much else to see, very basic and very clean. We'll move on to the rear. Okay, we've got a few wrinkles around the spoke nipple there this time. That looks clean down there. The sidewalls are extremely clean. Okay, here's a close-up of a spoke nipple, and there's about 3 threads poking through there, maybe even 4. It's a little bit too much. And here's another one. Yes, that'll be definitely 4 threads poking through. So the rear wheel, there's a fair few. I was going to say there's a fair few poking through. No, this one is flush. And here's another one. I actually took a picture of this one rather than video, and this one is definitely flush. Onto another picture. I'll have to zoom in on this one, but you can see this one's actually recessed. The spoke hasn't quite come all the way through. And another one recessed. And we'll have a look, one more, and that's protruding through by 3 to 4 threads. So very uneven in the rear wheel, unlike the front wheel, which was all even. And just to finish off, this is also the rear still. You can see looking at the top of the rim, looking upside down, sort of outwards toward the tube and tyre. So very clean carbon work there, very good. Overall, the endoscope revealed really nice carbon work inside the rims. Very nice front and rear, so I guess all their rims are really well made like that. The splotchy bits, those white bits, are really just a releasing agent that keeps the bladder from sticking to the sides of the carbon work. There's no big deal, it's just like stains. With the spokes poking through the nipple ends there, the front wheel was fine, nice and even. However, the rear wheel had its problems. Some of the spokes were poking through quite a bit on the nipple, and others were flush or even receding in the nipple, indicating uneven spoke, either spoke length or the spoke tension. All the spokes should be the same length, so I'd say it's the uneven tension that's causing these threads to poke through more so on some nipples than the others. Something else I noticed on these hubs, especially on the rear one here, is where the disc goes onto the slides on there. Normally there's a ring of aluminium part of the hub which is the stopper for the distance that it goes in. So bang, it hits that ring and stops there. Then you tighten it up, tighten the disc up. Well, here it's got little sticky outy bits. I'll just give you a close up, and that's all it is. Those stoppers, the stopper is little sticky outy bits. And so when you put your disc on, it hits them, and then of course you put your lock ring on and tighten it up to 40 Newton meters. So they'd want to be relatively strong because they're only small sticking out there to resist that 40 Newton meters, because most of the force really is not this way. It's when you put your brakes on, isn't it? That's where your force is, your twisting force. But however, it still has to hold the disc on nicely. And I guess the test will be in riding the wheels long term to see if they hold up. So that's another unique feature of these hubs. It's also on the front one, although not as pronounced. You can see here, I'll just give you a close up again. You can see those little sticky outy bits, part of the hub there. Interesting. So the cassette, the discs and the tyres and tubes swapped over flawlessly. The tyres, you won't need any tyre levers to put them on and off. So if you have a puncture anywhere, easy to do, just get them on and off by hand. So that's good, easy fitting there. So tyres fit perfectly. So you need to adjust that preload collar before you put the wheels on the bike, especially before you put the rotor on. You put your cassette on if you want, but not the rotor yet, the disc rotor, because that'll cover the hole on the hub where you need to put that 2mm Allen key to adjust that collar. So undo that 2mm preload collar. Make sure the collar just snugs up against the bearing, and then just back it off a fraction so that it's nice and free, and it's a fraction, a bee's whisker of sideways lateral movement of the axle in the hub there. Just a fraction, you can only just feel it. And then you can tighten up with a 2mm Allen key, tighten that preload collar up. Then you can put your disc on, lock it up, and then you can put your wheel on. And by the time you put your through axle into your frame and do that up 12 to 14 Newton meters, and that'll press in on those ends there, especially on the preload collar, and that will take up that bee's whisker amount, and then you should have no slack. So when you fill your frame at the rim, there's no slack. So that's just perfect, and your wheel should spin just nicely. And if anything like me, I haven't balanced the wheel, the valve should go down the bottom, just like that. So that means it's perfect, no slack and nice and free. Obviously, valve's heavier. That's a balance issue. That's another issue. You can balance that up later on if I want. Put another weight up this end. So that's how you do the preload collar. Do it before you put the wheels on.
Yeah, okay.
No, better go. We'll go left behind. Downhill, see how hot the discs are. Feel that, Steve? That's hot. So how we go with these AIM-1 wheels? Well, I've done 4 rides at the moment. By the time I upload this video, I would have done 6 rides at least. So, and no problems whatsoever. Excuse my voice, I picked up something at the supermarket and it's called a cold, common cold. It's a pain. Anyway, so now first thing I want to talk about is the preload. The preload on these bearings. After the rides, everything's fine. The wheels still spin. I'll just put an insert. The wheels still spin nicely after those rides and there's no movement between the frame and the rims front or rear. So it's working quite well. Now it's an older technology, back in the days of cup and cone. So you had the separate bearings in your hub and then you had a cone in there running on the bearings and a lock nut that tightened it up. So you could adjust the pressure on the bearings or the preload so that was just right. And then when sealed bearing hubs came out, then they also, some of the earlier ones had a preload adjustment on there as well. But then as technology goes on and gets better and the tolerances get closer, we're able to make wheels now. We don't need a preload adjuster. So we've got CNC machining of the hub shells and the axles now, and you can get very, very close tolerances with the bearings in there. So you probably won't need an adjusting collar. However, the option's there. And the whole idea of having that collar is you can have, there's minimum pressure on the bearings so it doesn't wear your bearings, so you get maximum life out of them, and also minimum friction. That's the whole idea of a preload. So anyway, it's working so far really well. The other issue was having to move both brake calipers front and rear in 1 millimeter because the rotors on these hubs are slightly in by about 1 millimeter. And I had to do that on both bikes that I tested these wheels on. It's no big deal because probably about 50% of different wheels I put on the bikes, you have to move the calipers anyway. So if you get a set of wheels, you move your calipers so the discs are in the middle, the rotors, whatever you want to call them, and then you're fine. The other issue was the spoke tension, of course, being quite uneven and a little bit slack on the non-drive side on the rear wheel. Front wheel's fine. Actually, both the wheels are absolutely true. I haven't gone out, they're fine. But just show you on the non-drive side here, compared to the drive side. Of course, quite often, traditionally wheels have been always tighter on the cassette side, on your freewheel wheel side, than your non-drive side. However, these are slacker in comparison to most of the wheels I have. So what I would say, I'll just get back here, and I could feel that when I was sprinting or climbing up a steep bit of a hill, it lacked that snappiness, that direct power to the rear wheel, to the ground. It was ever so slight. So I think that might be due to the slack spoke tension on that side. I may be wrong, but I may be right as well. So it's just a matter of paying a little bit more careful attention when building the wheel. Now, I had a few comments from some of the riders saying, your wheels are not as noisy as the other set you had. And what they mean is when you get up and go or come past, you can hear that when you're off your seat especially. Well, these wheels didn't exhibit that anywhere near as much as some of the other wheels I've had. And that's no big deal, but it's nice to hear. Also, the freewheel is rather quiet. Now, you can't hear it. It's amplified throughout the whole bike here, but once you're on the bike, it's actually so quiet, it's almost like you're riding a spring and pull clutch. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. So if you want a noisy clutch, this hasn't got it. All the riders said that the wheels look good, and some even said that their little yellow label here reminded them of Mavic wheels of the old days. And that's exactly what I said earlier in the video, so I got that bit right. All up, I like the wheels, and I'm probably going to try and tension these spokes on the non-drive side up just a little bit, just nip them up a little bit more and see if I can increase the snappiness of the wheels. Other than that, excellent performance.
Now, one thing I do like, if you're not into bike maintenance or in particular wheel maintenance, you just want to ride your bike and if something goes wrong, you take it to the bike shop. These wheels are really handy for that because 14 gauge steel nipple and steel spokes, every bike shop will have them in stock. I pretty much guarantee you that. So if you break a spoke or have an accident, these wheels can be fixed at your local bike shop for sure. So no carbon fiber spokes, fancy nipples and rim requirements here. Now 2 weeks ago we had a Sunday ride and the winds were notorious, incredibly gusty. So these 65mm rims were affected, and that's what you're going to expect. The deeper your section rim, the more affected by side winds that you're going to be. It doesn't matter what rims you're using, they're all going to be affected. So sometimes you get wavy rims on the inside here of the circumference and it might help a little bit. However, if you're going to be facing 50k plus winds side on, then it doesn't matter. The deeper the section rim, the more you're going to be affected, and these were the same. Having a look at their website, Moving is very basic. They've only got wheels on here. And there are two styles of wheels, the more expensive lighter version or the heavier version. The lighter version is called the 1200 series and the cheaper version, the 1300 series. The cheaper 1300 series are $799 US, and this series is slightly heavier than the 1200 series because these ones have slightly heavier spokes and they have slightly heavier hubs, and the carbon layup is also a bit different than the 1200 series. And so the 1200 series is $999 US. And the only options you have are to choose between a Shimano or SRAM clutch. All the wheels come in that colour with the black decal. Now, if you are interested in buying a set of these AIM 1 wheels, they are very nice wheels, and I'm sure that every set that goes out from now on will have the improved spoke tension, so there'll be no problems there. So if you want to get yourself a nice pair of wheels where you can fine tune your bearings, very, very cheap, because at the moment the good set is $999 US and the cheaper sets are $799. Now, there's a discount code as well. I'm always giving out discount codes, not because I ask for it, they want to give it to you, so that's up to them. I never ask companies if they want to give a discount code, they always offer it. This company is offering 15% off, so that's a big chunk of money off their wheels. I think maybe they just want to get off the ground and running, and that's why they're making them cheap. So that's good. Nice set of wheels, cheap. So there you go. The discount code is ozcycle. That's it, just ozcycle, and that's the 15% off. Okay, I better go. I've wasted enough of your time. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully I'll get over my cold too. I'll sound better. All right, cheers for now.
Hunter.
Special powder.